Welcome everyone, this is Colleen with Designs of Value Art School, and today we're going to paint one of these trumpet flowers, and then towards the end we're going to do a little bit of a twist. We're going to do some line work. Okay, so it's a really pretty soft pink and soft lemon green yellow on the flower, and then you've got your normal green leaves. The stem's a little bit greener, and this is actually a bluer. Now to begin with, we're not going to do anything to the background. We're going to just leave it as is. I've chosen our colors, basically alizarin crimson and deep madder lake, and you'll get a copy of this, and I'll put it on a big sheet so that you have it. So that's going to be our darkest value, and then I just keep adding water. So that makes life real simple. And then for the yellow, I did Hansa Yellow Light, plus, all by itself with water. It's going to be our lightest value. And then the next darker value for the yellow, which is going to be in here, is going to be Hansa Yellow Light plus Lemon Yellow. And then to get the green in there, I added just a touch of hookers to the Hansa Yellow Light and the Lemon Yellow. So that's how we created our colors. And this is Arches paper. It's actually a piece of scrap paper. But if you're going to be painting, I was going to use it to practice with something else, and I decided I wanted to do this more. But if you're going to be painting, you want to practice on the paper that you're using. Otherwise, your practice really isn't giving you what you need to know, because it's not the same paper you're going to be painting on, and you go to paint the project after you've practiced, and it's a completely different feel because the paper has changed, and you don't want that. Add that back in. I'm going to let that soak in for a moment. I always like to do, especially when it's the first time I've put down water on the paper, I like to do it twice, just because it gets the paper nice and moist, and it's easier to work with that way. This is an Arches big sheet that I bought at Hobby Lobby, I think, and then I cut it in half first, and then I cut it into squares. And this is when I first started doing that, and I had made a lot of mistakes with that first sheet. So I saved them for practice sheets, but this is going to be perfect for this. So I'm just re-wetting that area with my water brush. Now this is a brush that I do not put in paint. I keep it separate so that it always has no paint in it. And then I can control the water and not add any paint by mistake. Now you always want to bring your water down further than where you want it to stop. So I want it to stop up here, so I'm going to make sure I've got water down here. Now where your darkest, where you want your painting to be the darkest is where you want to set your brush down. I want this area to be the darkest, so I'm going to set my brush down there. It does come right around this edge here too. Right now we're just laying in the color. No detail or anything like that. This is probably the darkest area of the entire flower. I like these brushes too because they really hold a lot of moisture and a lot of paint. So that helps quite a bit. You're not forever going back and reloading your brush. Now I did not go to the edge of that water, which is perfect. perfect, so it's just going to softly bleed out. Now as I put this on here, it's really much lighter, so what I'm going to do to get a darker area, some of this is going to be darker, I'm just blending in together those same two colors, alizarin crimson and deep madder lake, and creating a darker value because I want to make sure this gets darker. So right in this area, it's darker. Right in this area, it's darker. Now, there's no highlight in this area. Oh, maybe a little bit one over here, and I can show you how we do that. And right up this stem here, it's darker. And whenever you do something line work like that, you'd want to call it that, is you want your brush straight up and down like that, like I was doing, because it gives you just your point of that brush that you're dealing with. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and remove that water to get that highlight out of there. So we've got a highlight right here that I want to represent. And in order to do that, you dry wipe your brush, make sure it's drier than the paper, and then it'll pick up some of that paint for you right where you want it, that highlight. So all I'm doing is putting down my brush where I want to remove that highlight. And this is a process that you're going to have to do more than once. You do want to wipe your brush in between each time, because otherwise you've got paint on it and you're going to just reapply it. And you don't want that. Now, with your drawing, you're going to see there's a separation right there in the painting as well, or in the photograph as well. Right here, and the highlight comes right in here. It's kind of like a triangular, which is what I've got accomplished here. Make sure I don't have any paint in my brush before I pull it out again. Doesn't appear that I do. So good, we got that highlight. Great, now we can move on nice and soft as we go. Add in our second water glaze. Not necessarily a lot of water, but enough that you're able to swoop it on. Make sure it's smooth all the way through. That looks good. Okay. So the mid value is going to be the one that we want to start with. It's darker up in here. Now this color is absolutely perfect to match that photograph. Very light, delicate. That's why I say at the end we might do some line work. This might be just a little bit delicate to do line work with, but we'll see. Just bring that down a little bit more and let it blend in softly. Alright, so now I'm going to go to the darker value. There's not a lot of dark in this area, but it is a little bit darker. Right in here, it's almost like a natural value right there to make that fold. Right in here. Up along this edge over here. Make sure it just blends out real nice and smooth. There we go. Alright. Now the only real light value is right there. And then down below, which we've already set up. So I cleaned my brush, I dry wiped it on my baby diaper. Right in here, there's a little bit of a highlight. Like that. And I'm wiping my brush in between so I don't lay back down any picked up paint. And it's just a little bit of a highlight right down here. Not much. Okay. Since I want this base here to be the darkest, I'm going to lay my brush down there first. And see how nice that pointed brush is? This is Billy Shoals number 4. I can get right into those corners like I want to with that nice long tip. I did put in a brush order with Rosemary and Company out of England, and she does sell Billy Shoals brushes, so I did get another set of those right away too. And I tried some of their other synthetics. That's what this is a synthetic. You could go broke buying sables, get just the same feel out of these synthetics as you do the sables. Okay, so that one's in there. All I did was take the mid value and darken that very edge and let the water do its thing. So now, since these petals are so small, I'm not going to double load the water because I don't think we need it. So we're going to start out with the mid value. I want this to be the darker area, so I'm putting my brush down there first, even though we're going to go over it with the darker color. But wherever you lay your brush down first is where you're going to get the most paint to drop off your brush. So you always want to try to make that in an area that you want nice and dark. There we go. Just looking to see where we're headed here. Oh, good, we got that first layer of pink in there. I'm going to pick up the dark value, or the darker value, I should say. And it's kind of a, well, first of all, it's up here. I want to get my hand in what we did before, so this needs to be dark, and it will be darkened again, so. And then right down the center here is dark. And then there's a real dark area right here. There. Okay. Now, there is a highlight on here, and I've pretty much got it in, but we'll remove some of the paint right on this edge. There's a highlight there. So yeah, make sure your paintbrush is nice and dry. You got a nice point on your brush. See how as the paint dries, the more you can pick up from the paper as it dries. I'm going to just soften this edge a little bit. I don't want it to be too hard. There we go. That's better. So small, I don't want it to run all over, so I'm just going to do a real quick fill in with the soft pink. So I had a little bit more paint on my brush than I wanted, so all I did was go over to my baby cloth and tap on the baby cloth to get rid of some of that moisture. Now I'm going to pick up the real dark again. And this is pretty dark in here. So I'm just loading the tip of my brush with fairly dry paint. I want it to stay where I put it. It will blend in, soften it out, which is a good thing. All right. We have the pink in. I'm going to dry this and then we'll get ready to do the yellows. So I'll be right back with you.